The European tour is officially underway, and since Raw is now on Netflix, fans in the United States were able to watch the show live in the afternoon instead of having to wait until a pre-record. Cena's betrayal at Elimination Chamber. Cody Rhodes has been waiting for the chance to confront him, and he got that opportunity yesterday. We also got the usual array of action, including an Intercontinental Championship match between Braun Breaker and Finn Balor. WrestleMania 41 is still over a month away, so WWE has a lot of time to build all of the storylines and make each feud feel important. Let's take a look at everything that happened on yesterday's international episode of Raw at Forest National in Brussels, Belgium. For this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamio.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of the Phenom, Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us Thursday night for a special NCAA tournament edition of TXN Sports World. More on that at the end of the show in the future content. Another loaded show for you this week, so let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right on in. Since Monday Night Raw's inception on January 11th of 1993, a spanning 1,669 episodes, every single one of those episodes took place on Monday nights, whether it be at 9 p.m., 8 p.m., heck, they even had some late, like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. shows because of U.S. Open coverage back in the day. But for the first time in the history of in the 32-year history of Monday Night Raw, it did something that we've never done before. We charted into uncharted territory here. Monday Night Raw episode 1,670 aired for all of us here in the United States on Netflix at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Unbelievable. I never thought I'd see the day where we would get an international show live. But alas, here we are. Monday Night Raw, or in our case, Monday Afternoon Raw, was live from Forest National in Brussels, Belgium, exclusively on Netflix. And there was no better way to start it off. I know there were some people that were saying, I'm surprised they didn't save this for the end of the show, for the main event segment. No. The anticipation was too high. They had to do it right out of the box. And here it was. First things first, Corey Graves sitting in for Pat McAfee on commentary because of the international travel. So we got Michael Cole and Corey Graves for a night, and what a way to start it off than with John Cena. When John Cena came out, the crowd erupted with boos. The usually smiling Cena walked to the ring without his usual energy. The crowd broke out into dueling "Let's go Cena" and "Cena sucks" chants. The 16-time champion stood silently for a long time and let them chant. He acted like he was going to leave without saying anything before picking up the microphone and giving one of his motivational Twitter/X quotes. He said he has been the victim in an abusive relationship for 25 years with the crowd. Cena claimed he is neither a babyface nor a heel. He is a human being. He said every fan has been awful to him and went on a rant about how he tried to change for them only to continue getting booed. He said he was breaking up with the crowd shortly before Cody Rhodes made his entrance. The American Nightmare ripped into Cena for turning on everyone and said he wants to face the best Cena at WrestleMania instead of the whiny biatch in front of him. While he may have gone a little heavy on the "you people" part of this promo, John Cena sold the hell out of his heel turn. He used real facts about the crowd's treatment of him to back up his feelings. This was exactly what it needed to be, and the crowd helped make it work by being so vocal. John Cena is not wrong about the crowd hating him for no reason during his run. Someone had a break a wish sign in the crowd to mock Cena, and this segment lasted almost half an hour. Excellent way to start the show. The first heel promo from Cena, money. There's only one small little caveat. He didn't explain about the number 17, about why he did what he did in order to go for number 17, or why he aligned himself with The Rock. But other than that little caveat, excellent first heel promo by John Cena. And, well, get used to seeing more of these two, because next week in London, or I should say in Glasgow, Scotland, we're going to get another round of Cody Rhodes and John Cena. They got a tough act to follow after this opening act. Very well done. Incredible first heel promo by Cena. It was what it needed to be. I don't know what else there is to say. That crowd was electric. So, not much more for me to add here. So, good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. John Cena. First heel promo. We were all wondering how it was going to be. Absolutely perfect, except for that little caveat of why he didn't explain why he aligned himself with The Rock and why he did what he did, and the whole number 17 title reign. But other than that, this was a masterclass. Great first heel promo in front of that electric crowd in Brussels. I think they did a great thing by saving it for the international crowd. Absolutely perfect.
And I think that's why, because if they did it in the United States, I don't know if they're going to get the same reaction. The thing was, going into this, Cena had the crowd on his side, and Cody was going to probably have to be the heel. Because going into this, there were fans that were starting to turn on Cody Rhodes, and it was sensing that, and I really thought that maybe Cody could have sold his soul, but he didn't. They let Cena do it, and it was perfect. Two bits of things I want to talk about. JD from NY and Derek Ferrera. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, wait a minute, isn't there a gag order that we're not going to mention Ferrera in any... No, hold on. Hear me out, and then you make your judgment. Anthony extended me a message, or believe it or not, for the first time in, God, it felt like decades, maybe about 10 years. It was me and Anthony Florio that was doing the Raw chat. Normally that would be meant for Michael Bullock and Anthony. I actually was in the Raw chat with Florio yesterday, and it was like old times. Me and Florio were yucking it up.
Absolutely.
Like the old days.
Yep.
But this time it was a little different. He was the play-by-play guy. I was the heel commentator. And it was perfect. We'll talk about a moment that definitely that felt like me and Florio really hit in a little bit. Because there was a moment on Raw where we both kind of played into it.
Yes.
But I will say this. He sent me a message about JD from NY, about how perfect of a segment that John Cena thing was. And it was perfect. It was exactly what it needed it to be. And it was the perfect place to do it because, and I even told Florio this, do you think you get the same reaction in other cities? If this would have been New York City, they would have torn them apart. If this was Chicago, they would have torn them apart. If this was Providence, Miami, LA, these big cities, I think Cena gets torn apart. But do you think Cena would get the same reaction if you're in Amarillo, Texas, Corpus Christi, Fayetteville, South Carolina,
Ontario, California,
Ontario, California,
Des Moines, Iowa.
do you get the same reaction in these cities where most of the time some of these US fan bases sit on their hands and don't react to anything?
In the immortal words of Gorilla, highly unlikely.
So that's why they did it in Brussels. Because Belgium is the perfect place because the internationals are going to say something. The Euros have, relatively speaking, been very anti-Cena for a number of years. Even when he was supposed to be the babyface, they used to boo him. So this was the perfect place to pull the trigger and do what you had to do. However, and this is where the Derek Ferreira comments came in, he called out the hypocritical hypocrisy of the Cena Nation, the IWC, how you guys have basically contradicted yourselves after all these years of wanting John Cena as a heel. You got it, and now you're crying like a bunch of bitches about it. That was Ferreira's take. And I gotta admit, Mr. Ferreira, Derek, I am 1000% on your side. I am completely on your side. Wow. And one person who's the biggest hypocrite of the whole thing, believe it or not, Anthony Florio, is Michael Bullock. And I gotta call this because he's the one that made a lot of comments yesterday on this show about the Cena thing, about the Cena turn, the whole 9 yards. And he might be playing character-wise. I'll get it. If he's playing character, fine. I'm cool with it. But I needed to call him out for that. And that's the thing. For many years, WWE fans have been like, what would it be like if Cena turned heel? You boo him. You did all the stuff. So the one thing I was thinking in the back of my mind, where's the lie from John Cena about anything he said yesterday? There was none. He was 1000% spot on about the hypocrite, about being used, being manipulated, being abused by the fans for their own personal gain. And John Cena is the one guy that can say it and it's believable because each and every one of you people did the same damn thing that Cena made his point clear. And that's exactly why his promo was effective. It grabbed me. It moved me. And it made me think, you know what, Cena? You are goddamn right. You are absolutely right about everything you said up to that point, and I didn't give a damn what anybody thought. Not Michael Bullock, not Anthony Florio. Nobody was going to change my opinion about this segment. And that's exactly what I needed. And yes, I could have played heel commentator, and I did. I played it off to a T, making Anthony Florio feel very about it. But that's how I've always been as a heel commentator. I'm more than willing to push the boundaries. But so for all the people who basically booed him, John Cena is probably saying thank you because now you've made his story look even more greater. That's why I said it's gonna be the culmination, the fitting ending to this when he captures the 17th championship. Now, I get it. Anthony, you're like, well, he never explained it this, he never explained that. In due time, my friend, I do believe eventually we're going to get the reason why Cena turned. We're going to get the reason why he aligned with The Rock. And yes, I do believe Cena will mention number 17 and the 17 time because it must come into play. You don't need to do it right now. This was just the explanation of why he turned heel. The next part is going to be that. Why did I align with The Rock? Why did I, what's the motivation? And I do believe the 17 will come into play eventually. We just got to slow burn this. Triple H's long-term storybooking. We just have to trust the process. And right now, I'm hook, line, and sinker to that process. Cena has captured me. He grabbed me, and it was perfect. When Cody Rhodes came out, that was the perfect moment, and you heard that crowd. Everybody loves Cody Rhodes now. That's exactly what they wanted. WWE knew. WWE knew there was trouble. They knew Cody was starting to slip, and the fans were starting to turn on Cody. If you would have given them Roman Reigns, Cody was going to get demolished. If you given them any other guy, Cody was going to get demolished. You gave him John Cena, and at first it was going to be that. But then the turn happened. But the thing is, you're going into Europe. You're going outside of the United States. Those fans will provide the blueprint. So when they do come back to the United States, those fans will be firmly behind Cody Rhodes. And those fans that comes across the pond to Las Vegas, Nevada, will be a pro-Cody crowd. That's exactly what WWE needed. So, to me, this was remarkable. Nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, it's all yours.
Man, oh man, how in the world am I going to follow that? My goodness. I shall do my best, in the immortal words of Ben Stein. So, well, I think this is a good way to do it. Our first match of the night, under no holds barred rules. Ludwig Kaiser squaring off against Penta. Winner of the match, 10 minutes and 50 seconds. It was Penta, the sacrifice of the arm. Some other moves here and there, and then the Penta driver finished it off for the win. Penta wins in a great no-holds-barred match in 10:50, but it was what he said after the match, MF, to the beautiful Kathy Kelly, when Penta, he said it a little bit in Spanish. I know you can translate, but I don't need a translator. I already know what he's going to say. Well, I already know what Penta said. You heard what he said. Yeah, it was in Spanish, but I understood it a little bit. He wants the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, he does. And the thing is that, yeah, and Penta could be an Intercontinental Champion. He very well could be. Obviously, this does open the door for a multi-man, but you get the feel of one-on-one. But at the end, I enjoyed it. I thought this was really well done. I think this is very good. And yeah, this was at least 3.25, 3.5 stars. I thought this was a solid opener. They utilized some weapons, giving us that good hardcore feel. And I know a lot of the fans, especially in Brussels, very enjoyed it. And of course, they had to do it. It didn't matter what it was. They gave us that same chant Paris gave us for the 2 count. And boy, the first time I heard it, I was geeking. Anthony Flood and I said it again. God, I love these knuckleheads. And Anthony was like, Floyo, yeah, go ahead. It's yours.
Yeah, all right. So 3.25, 3.5. I was gonna chime in and follow up what you said about the knucklehead crowds. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I got a little sidetracked on that. What did they do? The dose, or what did they do? What did that crowd do on the 2 counts? I mean,
Tapetura. The same thing that the Paris crowd did. They chanted.
Simply Mantu?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I was so focused on the match.
Yeah, no, I think it was I think they went da Pitora, which I think is their version of that's a 2.
Oh, okay, I got it now. All
Yep.
right, I just wanted to be sure. So,
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
was
Go ahead.
that moment you were talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
the first time they did it, and I was like, "What?" And then they started chanting it, and I started laughing, and that's when you're like, "What are you laughing about, Fletcher?" And I'm like, "I love these knuckleheads. Listen to this."
Yeah, they're already starting. I mean, those knucklehead crowds, we love them. I mean, Barcelona, amazing. Brussels, amazing. What do you think? What do you think? Wherever the arena in Bologna, Italy is Friday night, I don't know how many they seat. If it's a good 15 to 20,000 or so, can you imagine that same crowd, but only we got 15 to 20,000 Italians? We had the Latinos, we had the Espanols, we had the Belgians. You know what Italians are capable of.
Oh yeah, remember how they were getting into the soccer hooligan type thing?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Peru. Yeah. So wait till Friday night when we get to the Italians. Oh, I can't wait to see what those Italians are gonna do. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be something else.
I'm excited, man. I'm so excited.
Me too. And then let's not forget, we got Glasgow, Scotland, and then we got not one but 2 shows in London. The Brits.
Back in the legendary O2.
Yes. And I'm hopeful that we'll get those Euros in for WrestleMania. So
oh yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Because it might be a little more difficult to get into the country now. But you already know that. I'm not. Yeah. We don't need to get there, but
that's true.
But we do know it is a little more tougher to get into the country now.
Oh yeah, definitely. But all right. First fight on the show saw Ludwig Kaiser take on Penta in a no holds barred match. Penta won their first singles encounter, and Kaiser won a triple threat that involved Pete Dunne. So it felt like an even matchup coming into this. This was a good competitive match, but the no-holds-barred stipulation wasn't used to its fullest potential. Other than a few chair spots, we didn't get much hardcore action. Penta scored a definitive win with his finisher after hitting a diving destroyer on a steel chair. The crowd was loud for Penta with chants. And WWE was running behind on commercials, so the first break wasn't very far into the match. And the back body drop onto the table was timed perfectly. 3 1/4, 3 1/2. This is definitely fight of the night potential here. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So it's one of the fights of the night for sure. All right. A lot of backstage stuff. And then our next match was Dakota Kai squaring off against Ivy Nile. Dakota Kai winning the match 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Yeah, you know what that means. This is a cutout here. I could give it maybe 1 for the effort. I mean, this was short and had a lot of shenanigans at ringside, but everything the two performers in the ring did look good, I guess. Ivy Nile's German suplex looked great, and Dakota Kai rolling from a suplex into an inside cradle looked very, very smooth. I'll give it a solid 1, maybe 1 1/4 for the effort. So not much more to say there. All right. We definitely have to get into this. Raw general manager Adam Pearce stood in the ring with the women's world champion Io Sky and her WrestleMania challenger Bianca Belair. They signed the contract for their upcoming title match at WrestleMania 41, but Rhea Ripley showed up and attacked both women. The Eradicator picked up the contract and signed it as Adam Pearce yelled at her to give it back. It's not that it looks like we might be getting a triple threat at Mania now. We are getting a triple threat at Mania now. They haven't made it official yet, but don't worry. they will find a way to make it official. Remember, what's been the bread and butter of this administration? Long-term booking. So, typical contract signing, when I say typical, I mean, what do we always say when it comes to contract signings? It doesn't end well.
It doesn't end well. I know you mentioned it. I know Michael Bullock mentioned it, because he was with us very briefly for the Raw chat. But yeah, that was the same thing that we were alluding to. Yeah. So nothing more to say.
Yeah, so I'll sum it up for the both of us by saying Io Sky was really over with the live crowd, and Rhea also got the big star reaction, and Bianca was the least over and got some boos. So I got this feeling that this is leading toward. I think they're planting the seeds for a heel turn here, and Corey Graves noted he was quick to question whether Rhea Ripley signing that contract actually mattered, and if you noticed, MF, this it conjured up a memory for me. 21 years ago, back in, I believe it was February of 2004, on an episode of Monday Night Raw. It was the Monday Night Raw where Triple H and Chris Benoit were getting ready to sign their contract for their World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 20 before Shawn Michaels interrupted, and he put his name on the contract. Didn't you get those kind of vibes? I did.
Yes.
When Rhea did it, and what did they do? They made that a triple threat match, and it's still to this day still considered the greatest triple threat match in the history of professional wrestling. I mean, at WrestleMania 20, what HBK, Triple H, and Chris Benoit did in Madison Square Garden, 5 stars and one of the greatest Mania main events. It's easily top 3. One of the 3 greatest WrestleMania main events of all time. Stone Cold and The Rock from 17, and then last year with the Bloodline Rules with Roman and Cody. So those are the 3 greatest in no particular order. So very good segment here. Io and Rhea got the big pops. Bianca started to get some boos. The theory, I know we have that theory about Jade Cargill and her. So we know I still think there's more than that than meets the eye, and we'll see how that plays out. But nonetheless, a wild and crazy contract signing here. It was very well done. And MF, like I said, Rhea signed the contract, just like Shawn Michaels did with Triple H and Chris Benoit 21 years ago. That was made into a triple threat match, and you know it, and I know it. And Bullock knows it, and everybody knows it out there. It will not be long before this gets made into a triple threat as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said there. This should end up in a triple threat eventually. They did a good job giving us the story about it. Io definitely is monster over. The fans is in love with Io Sky. I think there's no debate about it. There's no doubt about it. I think Io is definitely worthy of the love and the thing. And I think a lot of people are going to be pulling for Io to win that match at WrestleMania. As far as going beyond that, I think they did a really good job with the story. So, yeah, I got really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, let's move on.
All right. Next up, it was Austin Theory, one half of A-Town Down Under, accompanied by his partner Grayson Waller. He went up against main event Jey Uso. Jey Uso won the match in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. But then Gunther comes out. Gunther came out. Well, let me set it up here. Jey Uso was out next to take on Austin Theory in singles competition. Grayson Waller helped by distracting Uso as soon as the bell rang, so Austin Theory could get the upper hand. Jey Uso made a quick comeback and hit a spear for a win in 30 seconds. This ended up being a surprising squash, but the fight continued after the bell as he took out Grayson Waller also. Gunther showed up and tried to choke out Jey Uso, but the number 1 contender fought back and ripped the World Heavyweight Championship belt off of Gunther's waist. Well, obviously, the match is a cutout here. You can make an argument for dud. You can make an argument for worst fight of the night, or you could just give it no rating. I mean, I've seen some reviewers here do that, and
Yeah, to me, it's a no rating.
it's a no rating. Definitely a no rating. It is the worst fight of the night by default, and but two things, MF. Two quick takeaways. Jey Uso ripping the belt off of Gunther. Could that be the scene at WrestleMania? Number one. But number two, what a sight seeing that Brussels crowd yeeting with Jey Uso. Oh my God.
Okay. This was the moment where me and Florio had something epic in the commentary booth.
Okay.
Anthony started, his love for Jey Uso. He started doing the traditional yeet dance with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully went nuclear on Florio. Will you stop? Will you knock it off? You look like a damn fool doing this stupid yeet dance.
Surprised you didn't throw in a "Will you be serious" on that?
No, but the thing was, Florio was going into it. He was like yeet, 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 and I was like, will you stop, you knucklehead? You're acting like a fool. You're looking like a fool right now doing the yeet dance. But
when Jey Uso came out, and they started, and then you heard that "ooh so," and then the all that yeeting went down. I was like, come on, MF, you wanna.
Yep. And that's the minute where I started, and that's when I turned around and it's like, will you stop? Will you stop, you knucklehead?
I'm not Bullock.
Huh?
I'm not Bullock. I know Bullock does it with you all the time.
Yeah.
You two knuckleheads.
Yep.
But nonetheless, what a sight. What a sight.
It was that was one of the highlights of the night for me. Without a doubt, that was the highlight of the night for me. But yeah.
It ranks right up there with the Backlash in France. Remember that crowd when they did it?
Oh yeah.
And what a sight that was. I mean, holy hell. But
well, as you can say it, Providence also lived up to the hype as well. Providence was amazing as well.
And Bullock and I led the way. And as a fan, you did it too, MF. I mean, that's a night that I'll never forget. And it's just a damn shame that we have no idea when they're coming back here.
Yeah, it's been they haven't announced anything yet, which is very rare because normally we get at least 6 months in advance. Yeah, we thought we would have gotten something by now, but no, as of now, Providence not yet.
We could be looking at a late spring into summer, maybe, or sometime in the summer, possibly again.
Probably summer. The way this is going, I would probably say definitely by the summer, maybe on the road to SummerSlam.
Right, I could see that. So, but we'll find out. And when we set up the content for next week's Raw, we have something very interesting to bring up when it comes to the matches that have been announced for next week's show. And one of them involves Jey Uso. And MF gave us a very interesting theory in the messenger chat between me, MF, and Bullock. And we'll be sure to address that elephant in the room in a short. So but this is an NA. Couple of quick takeaways. Gunther should never look intimidated. It just feels wrong. And Austin Theory and Grayson Waller have gone as far as they can go as a team. I think it's time to break them up. So that's just how I feel about it. So all right.
Something tells me I think they'll break them up. Maybe we'll see them have like a full meltdown maybe at Mania, and then maybe post Mania I think we might get a Waller versus Theory match. Just my thoughts.
I can see it. All right. Tag team action. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee squaring off against the Creed brothers. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee win the match. 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Yeah. The match did not last long once we returned from the commercial break. And Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio were able to score the win, but Grande Americano showed up and took them out once it was over. It was fine, but too short to be memorable. The story WWE is telling here is weird so far, but everyone involved is a good performer, so it could turn out to be good in the end, or it could be a disaster. We'll see. Julius Creed did a good job catching Rey when it looked like he might fall short of reaching him. And here you talk about that's a standout commentary moment. Well, I got another one for you, MF. Remember what I said? This mask guy, this Americano guy, he looks I said, wait a minute, and I was like, that's Chad Gable. I'm like, who else does a German suplex like that? And MF in Vintage Heel Mode saying, who? They're like, that's not Chad Gable. Does Chad Gable wear a mask? He's wearing one right now, isn't he? Look what it says, American made. So 2.25, 2.5 for the more like 2.5 for the effort. I could say it was a fun little sprint. So not much more to say. MF, another funny commentary moment here with the Americano, Chad Gable with the mask on, and I'm saying that's Chad Gable, and you're like, no, it's not. And another funny commentary moment here, but nonetheless, Mysterio, Dragon Lee winning the match, 5:45. And Chad Gable with the mask continues to impress.
Yeah, Chad Gable with the mask continues to impress. Yeah, we kind of wanted it to play this really well, and I think we did a very good job with it. The segment itself was fine for what it was worth. I had nothing bad to say about it. I thought they did a really good job with it. Yeah, it was short. I can only give this maybe 2 stars, and that's all I can really say. So yeah, Anthony, it's all yours, man.
All righty. Let's see what we got. And then we had a promo. Seth freaking Rollins comes out and cuts a promo. And he did. There was one thing that really stood out. Seth Rollins came to the ring to talk about Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and everything else that has been going on recently. He said he might have to take a trip to SmackDown to see them this week because he has unfinished business. Well,
yeah.
MF, whoa. Seth Rollins. He called out Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Apparently, Roman and CM Punk are going to be on SmackDown in Italy this week. Seth's going to show up. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. You could already tell how this is going to play out. This may not end good. This might be planting the seeds, no pun intended, into maybe a possible triple threat going into WrestleMania as well, between Roman, Punk, and Rollins. So yeah, no doubt about it. So we'll see how it plays out. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the crowd. I mean, the live crowd didn't seem to mind, but it wasn't, overly. It was solid, but it was not overly spectacular. I'll say it like that. But it gives us a hook for Friday Night SmackDown in Bologna, Italy. So at least there was that. So not really much more to get into on that. All right. Next week, Raw from Glasgow, Scotland. Another special start time, but the thing is, it's not going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern on Monday from Glasgow, Scotland. And here's the rundown for next week. Lyra Valkyria will defend the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. We will hear from CM Punk. we're going to get another round with Cody Rhodes and John Cena. We'll see how they follow up this past week. And then here's the interesting theory here. A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller challenged main event Jey Uso to a tag team match. But the thing is, Jey Uso's partner was listed as a mystery. A mystery partner for main event Jey Uso.
There's 3 names. There's a couple names that does come up right out of the gate who it could be. Jimmy Uso is one. One
Uso
person.
reunion.
Yep, Uso reunion. Another person that threw out said, why not the WWE champion himself, Cody Rhodes? Even though, yes, he does have to deal with John Cena, but maybe Cody, does a favor for him on this one. I don't know. I think that's kind of a little bit of
here's the thing.
of a tough sell, but he did offer that.
But there's one name. Glasgow, Scotland. A gentleman who lives not too far from there, from Edinburgh, Scotland. Who happens to be the reigning and defending TNA heavyweight champion of the world. Say his name and he appears. That's the theory that MF dropped in us about 12 hours ago in our messenger chat. If that happens, could MF, whoa, when you dropped that theory on us, I was like, whoa. Joe Hendry on Monday Night Raw as the TNA heavyweight champion, teaming with Jey Uso against A-Town Down Under.
And I did say that it's a very good possibility. Think about it and put all the pieces together. And you were like, you know what? It makes logical sense.
It does. Now, how was this one of your Discord buddies who came up with this theory?
No, this was me all on my own.
All you.
All me.
Wow. That's a hell of a theory. At first, I honestly thought Jimmy, but when you threw out Joe Hendry, and I'm like, wait a minute, it could happen. Scotland, Edinburgh. He's from Edinburgh. I don't think that's too far from Glasgow. So if he shows up, oh my goodness. You thought that crowd was going to be nuts with all the eating? Can you imagine what they're going to do if Joe freaking Henry shows up?
And it could happen because remember, there was a time I think Joe Hendry and Jey Uso kind of interacted a little bit, if I remember correctly.
They may have.
I think it was the night of the Rumble. I think it was behind the scenes after the Rumble was over. There was this moment where Jay and Henry had shared a little bit of some pleasantries.
Man, so that would be something else if that happens. All right. We'll see what happens when it comes next week, but not much more to say on that. And then from there, our main event of the evening for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, the champion, Braun Breaker, defending the title against the challenger and former champion in his own right, Finn Balor. Winner of the match, 12 minutes and 35 seconds, and still the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. It is Braun Breaker, but then a whole lot of chaos after the match was over. Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio, Carlito, and Finn Balor all attacked, went after Braun Breaker. But then, who came out to make the save? Penta. and then Penta and Braun Breaker face to face, eye to eye, and Braun, or I should say Braun Breaker and Penta. Braun Breaker holding up that Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship belt. Whew. I don't know what else there is to say. MF, Braun Breaker successfully defends the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship 12:35. And Penta saves Braun Breaker from a Judgment Day beatdown. Are we on a Braun Breaker Penta collision course for Mania?
What? I think we're in a multi-man because I do believe that Balor and Dom might get added to this fight. And this might end up being more interesting than it meets the eye. So yeah, I do believe this could happen going into WrestleMania. At the end of the day, I think, like we said, the right man won the match, no doubt about it in my mind. I think going into it, we'll wait and see how it plays out. But no, right man won in this matchup, and I think it was definitely more better than anything else. So I really have nothing bad to say. I thought they did a really good job with it. So yeah, Anthony, 2.5 to 3 is my rating for the match. It was definitely fight of the night worthy, and there's really nothing more to add. So it's yours.
What do you think of what I just put in the chat box there, MF? I just put something in the chat box. Look at that. First 4. Look at that.
Yeah, wow. Damn. Let's just say they must have gotten the memo about that how they were like, oh, we don't deserve to be in the tournament. Oh yeah? Okay. Boom. Yikes.
Some alterations to our respective brackets may need to be made. Let's just say that. So
I think that was an emphatic statement. That basically what that is, that basically tells everybody that all you people that thought we didn't deserve to be in the tournament, big middle fingers to all you people tonight. So that I'll bet you anything, somebody sent that over to them. That was bulletin board material. Oh, you don't think we deserve to be in the tournament? Why don't we just smack San Diego State by literally 33? Youch.
27.
37. Youch.
27. Still, I mean, yeah. What we're referring to is first 4 game in the NCAA tournament, the play-in game. The North Carolina Tar Heels smashing the San Diego State Aztecs 95-68.
Woohoo!
Here tonight in Dayton, Ohio, literally just went final, and North Carolina in the big dance. Oh boy! After a performance like this, they've got bracket buster material now.
And not only that, but that was off the heels of Alabama State having a hell of a game against St. Francis of Pennsylvania.
Oh, what a game!
Only a 2-point affair. And Alabama State advances to the first round of the tournament. Even though, yeah, they run into Auburn. Oof, that's gonna be a rough game for them. But yeah, if you're North Carolina, now you're in the 6-11, which I believe that gives them. Let me see. Well,
we got to I got it here. They're going to be going up again. They're going against Ole Miss.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and
we'll
see. And we'll have more on this on Thursday night on a special NCAA tournament edition of TXN Sports World. So
yes,
can't wait to get into that. We'll address that more in just a little bit. All right. You gave the main event what, 2.5, 3?
No, I gave it 3 to 3.5.
3.5. Okay. This was easily the best performance on the entire show and made Bron Breakker look like he belonged in the ring with a veteran like Finn Balor. He was able to hit a spear to retain the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship in one of his better title defenses to date. And then Penta saved Bron Breakker from a post-match attack, but he made it clear he wants the next title shot as the show went off the air. The way Bron Breakker hits a shoulder tackle looks so much more devastating than when other people do it. And Bron Breakker's dive from the apron to send Balor over the announce table was a brutal spot. So that's all I can really say on that. It's definitely it's very much looking like right now on paper, it's Bron Breakker versus Penta. But MF thinks there's going to be more guests coming to that table. I could see it. Because, I mean, even though we're in a new administration, they're still doing the same thing under the old administration. Trying to get as many guys they can, many people that they can on the WrestleMania card. That was one thing that the Vince administration always did. And Papa H and his crew, they're still doing the same thing. They're still following.
And the thing is, that's the right decision to do. I think with this deep of a roster and as loaded as they do, they deserve the opportunity to be a part of the WrestleMania weekend. So I applaud Triple H for at least keeping this this level of excitement when it comes to WWE, that you reward your employees by letting them perform at the biggest show of the year. So I applaud him for that. For at least keeping that memory alive.
Absolutely. So, all right. So we'll see what happens. I could see it, but I don't know. We'll see. We still have a ways to go until we still have like a month left. We still have another month to get through. The longest road to WrestleMania ever. I mean, the latest that a WrestleMania has ever taken place. April 19th and 20th. I mean, that is a long time. But next year, it'll be a little more. We might go back to the old school thing because it'll be a week earlier next year. So it's April 11th and 12th of next year. So, all right. Overall thoughts. Last night's Raw aired much earlier in the United States than usual due to taking place in Brussels, Belgium. But the biggest takeaway was how excited the Belgian fans were. They were chanting, cheering, and booing for everything as if it was the best or worst thing ever. And that always makes for a more enjoyable viewing experience at home. The promo from John Cena to cement his heel turn was exactly what he needed to do in order to make his turn convincing. Everything he said was true, but he skewed it to fit his own narrative like a pro. When it comes to in-ring action, nothing on the episode came close to the main event with Bron Breakker and Finn Balor. They didn't necessarily put on a match of the year candidate, but they stole the show with a fun bout. The only other match that was remotely good was the No Holds Barred match with Penta and Ludwig Kaiser. The show as a whole didn't feel like much, but the two segments that bookended it were both very enjoyable. And throw in that insane crowd, I'm going to give this in excess of 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Another very good show. I mean, yeah, we did have a few cutout matches in there, but and a fun little sprint. But if you're pressed for time, the standout moments, obviously the opening segment with Cena and Cody. Cena's first heel promo. You gotta go out of your way to watch that. Same thing with the No Holds Barred match. The women's contract signing, I would give that a look. And obviously the main event. Other than that, you could pretty much skip it. You're not gonna lose any sleep over that. So 7.5 to 8 out of 10 because of those few things, but mainly the crowd. The crowd put it over the top. So 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me. So, MF, let's get your thoughts on this Raw from Brussels, Belgium, and then we'll get into NXT.
7.5 is my rating. I think you're absolutely right. I think they did an incredible job with the show, and yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, let's just go right on into the big one.
NXT. And NXT, of course, back in the Capitol Wrestling Center off the heels of that incredible Roadblock show last week from the theater in Madison Square Garden. And now and I'll be honest, going into this, I was expecting there were some parts of this that made it feel like a back to reality show, to be honest with you, but let's dive on in. One of the most intensely personal rivalries in NXT wrote its latest and potentially final chapter tonight on the CW as Trick Williams squared off with Eddie Thorpe in an NXT Underground Rules match. That showdown held inside a ropeless ring with submission and knockout as the only ways to attain victory headlined a broadcast that also saw the latest from Ricky Saints and a Women's United States Championship defense from Chelsea Green. What went down, who emerged victoriously, and what did it mean for the Black and Silver brand on the road to Stand and Deliver? Find out now with this recap. And we started it off with the Women's United States Championship match. The champion, Chelsea Green, accompanied by her secret Hervis, that being Piper Niven, and the newest member of that group, Alba Fire, defending against Sol Ruca, who was accompanied by her quote-unquote partner, Zarya. And the winner of the match in 9 minutes and 49 seconds, and still the Women's United States champion, it is Chelsea Green. Chelsea controlled a large portion of the bout, targeting the previously injured left knee of Ruca. Ruca fought back and rolled late until interference marred her championship dreams, allowing Chelsea to pick up the win and successfully retain the Women's United States Championship. The crowd was red hot for this one, helping to enhance what was a perfectly acceptable bout and not much more. Sol Ruca shined in a high-profile title opportunity, but the spotlight was equally on Chelsea Green and her entourage, who was instrumental in Chelsea retaining. The NXT fans broke out into the Pledge of Allegiance, then chants of Chelsea for president, seconds into the match, and then Booker T with a funny commentary moment said, "I'm voting." Sol Ruca either badly whiffed a springboard attempt or expertly sold her injured left knee. Either way, it worked within the context of the story she and Chelsea Green told. Alba Fire interfered, only to be wiped out by Zarya at ringside, and then Piper Niven took the Aussie out, and Sol Ruca answered with a moonsault to neutralize her. Nothing more to say here. Solid 3.25 star match. More like 3 to 3.25. But yeah, obviously, we all knew Chelsea was going to retain. I mean, there was no way they were going to have an NXT talent win the Women's United States Championship, especially, I believe it was this past week on SmackDown when Zelina Vega threw her hat into the ring. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am hopeful, and me personally, and I know MF, and especially MF, if there's anybody who deserves to dethrone Chelsea Green for that women's U.S. title, I would love for it to be Zelina Vega, especially after everything that she's been through, the whole Push Zelina movement, of which MF is one of the leading members of. So we'll get into that down the road. We'll see if something happens. Well, Zelina Vega will be going up against Piper Niven this upcoming Friday on SmackDown in Bologna, Italy. So we'll see if she can take her first quest. Because remember, to get to Chelsea Green, she's got to go through Piper Niven, and then she'll eventually have to go through Alba Fire as well. So we'll see what happens. So in excess of 3 to 3.25 stars, very good jump off, to say the very least. And Sol got a little hope spot in there. There was one spot where we thought, oh my God, Sol's going to do this, but no, she didn't. So Not much more to say, MF. Chelsea Green, still the women's United States champion, successfully defending against Sol Ruca in 9:49.
Yeah, this is about a 3-star bout. I think they did a really good job with it. Solid matchup to say the very least. Nothing more to add, Anthony. Let's move on to the next match.
Okay, and MF, you'll be starting that off. Well, it's only fitting you start this off because, well, we heard the first words from your girl, MF. La Primera. I hope I said that right. La Primera. The double champion. Not only the NXT Women's North American Champion, but the new NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer. She cut her first promo since defeating Julia for the NXT Women's Championship last week in that title for title match in the theater in Madison Square Garden. But she didn't have much time to cut that promo because she had not one but two interruptions. First, Jordynne Grace. But then after that, Jada Parker, Ms. Parker if you're nasty. Boom, taken down Jordynne Grace. And Jada Parker, she basically said it. She wants a shot. And next week, MF. What are we going to see next week? Whoa. Okay, let's break this down here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jada Parker, she basically said, I want a shot at your women's title. And then later in the show, Stephanie Vaquer was in Ava's office. And then they were interrupted by the former Women's North American Champion, Fallon Henley. Fallon Henley said, when am I going to get my rematch? Stephanie says, you'll get it next week. And she was like, when am I going to get my rematch? And he says, well, it's not going to be next week because she's already got a match. But Stephanie said, no, I'm going to do it next week. What? Oh, MF. Whoa.
Yeah.
Your girl, she's pulling double duty next week. And it's been confirmed. This is how it's going to work. She's going to bookend the show next week. We're jumping it off out of the box. We're going to get Stephanie Vaquer in her first defense of her newly won NXT Women's Championship. She will defend against Jada Parker. And then in the main event of next week's show, it will be the rematch. Stephanie Vaquer defending the Women's North American Championship against the woman she took the title from, Fallon Henley. La Primera. Whoa, MF. So nice. Your girl's so nice. We're going to get to see her twice next week.
The Dark Angel herself is this is dangerous. Like, I was very nervous that when I heard this. But this was a very dangerous situation for her. Like you said, we're talking about. When I heard this, I was like, the one person that I really felt deserved to be the North American champion is Jada Parker. I think they're making a mistake here. The only thing I can think of is that she's going to go over and successfully defend the title both times. I think she's going to do it. I don't get me wrong. I respect Fallon Henley and everything else. She does not deserve to be the champion again. She doesn't need it. I think at this point in the game, she doesn't deserve to be the North American champion. I think Jada Parker does. So I would have been more confident about a title change if Jada would have been going after the North American. But because she wanted to go after the NXT title, I think we're going to get a situation where I think Stephanie's going to do it. I think she's going to get 2 wins. I think she's going to sweep the 2 matches she needs to face. So that's my prediction about it. I think they did a good job with everything leading up to it. Florio, it's yours.
One question. One quick question, MF. What about
Yes.
Jordan Grace?
I think Jordan would be probably stand and deliver. If Julia does not come back in time, I could see it be Jordan Grace versus Stephanie Vacour for the NXT title.
I can definitely see that, and they were clearly building towards it before Jada Parker took out Jordan Grace. So, yeah. Let's see. The first ever NXT Women's Double Champion, Stephanie Vacour, hit the ring to address the fans following her historic victory over Julia at Roadblock last week. She announced that the next woman to enter the ring would be her first challenger, with Jordan Grace answering the call. Before she could do or say much of anything, Jada Parker attacked Jordan Grace from out of nowhere and stepped up to the champion, officially entering the title hunt. NXT has a loaded championship picture, and with as many women vying for Stephanie Vacour and her titles as there are, it is not out of the question that we could see a multi-woman match at Stand and Deliver. Considering we just had a 4-way at Vengeance Day, it is too soon to run back a match of that type. However, the brand should run with Jordan Grace or Jada Parker and save the other for a post-WrestleMania run. With that said, Stephanie Vacour showed out on the mic here for someone whose first language is not English. And she even said it. Wrestling is my first language, and this proves it. Motioning to her NXT and Women's North American titles. Vacour said she had her choice of promotions but chose NXT so she could compete in the best women's division in the world. And then Jordan Grace came out and said, "You're not the only one who accomplished something last week. I beat Roxanne Perez, a woman who elevated one of those titles to a completely different level." Now, as far as how I see things playing out here, Stephanie Vacour will most certainly successfully defend the women's title against Jada Parker. I don't know about that Women's North American, though. I'm getting this feeling in the pit of my stomach. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And especially with it being the main event. When something happens in the main event, when something is the main event, that usually means something totally nutty is going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I pray to God I'm wrong, especially for the sake of Stephanie Vacour and for MF especially, because I know MF is very likely going to go Cerebral Viper if Fallon Henley regains that Women's North American Championship next week. I would love to see Stephanie successfully defend the titles and basically pull a Daniel Bryan from WrestleMania 30, winning 2 matches in one night. I would love to see that myself. I really would. I'm just as high on Vacour as MF is, honestly, even though MF knows a little more about her than I do. But from what I have seen, La Primera has definitely very much impressed me, and I like what I have seen, and she deserves where she is. She deserves to be the double champion. It's unfortunate what happened to Julia. For those wondering what happened to Julia, it's 2 things. One, a minor injury concern, and she also has a minor visa issue. She's got a visa. She's got an issue with her, I guess, her work visa. I guess that's what I heard. So, but don't worry. I know soon enough we will get the Beautiful Madness back. So, right now, I do believe the plan is for Steph. I agree with MF. I believe that the plan will be Stephanie Vacour versus Jordan Grace for the NXT Women's Championship at Stand and Deliver next month. So we'll see what happens. But good, very good first promo for Stephanie Vacour. All right, tag team action here, as it was Hank and Tank squaring off against Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura, and it was Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura winning the match, 5 minutes and 44 seconds. It got the same amount of time as that tag match from Raw yesterday with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee going up against the Creeds. But unlike that match, this match here I thought was a fun, energetic tag match that furthered the story of Hank and Tank's quest to find themselves and success in the tag team division. This was mostly a success. Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura have meshed better than anyone could have imagined, and winning here enhanced the idea that they are tag team championship contenders, as well as tag team championship material, while giving their opponents an obstacle to overcome down the road. Josh Briggs taunted Tank before eating a big clothesline that brought the babyfaces back in the match. He told him, "You ain't extreme." And let me say this about Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs is arguably the most improved NXT wrestler since this time last year, beginning with that triple threat match against Obafemi and Dijak, which stole the show at Stand and Deliver last year. And Hank and Tank have great energy and had the fans totally engrossed in the match. I'm going to give this a solid 2.5 stars. Fun little sprint. Very fun. So, enjoyable match for the most part. So, 2.5 stars. Nothing more for me to say. MF, Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura picking up a big win. They defeat Hank and Tank 5 minutes and 44 seconds. And they're definitely making a case to be in that NXT Tag Team Championship picture. And who knows? Maybe this could be the team to finally dethrone Nathan Frazier and Axiom for those NXT Tag Team Championships down the road. So we'll wait and see on that. So MF, if you're ready, come on in, and let's get your thoughts on this as Briggs and Inamura defeat Hank and Tank 544. Briggs and Inamura, MF, I'm telling you, I think they're championship material.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'll say about 2 stars. I thought they did a really good job with it. I don't think there's really much more that you need out of that. I think, like you said, I think you gave me everything that needs to be known. So yeah, just yeah. Basically,
All right, MF,
it's all yours.
All right, MF. Let's move on to the 6-person mixed tag team matchup. The D'Angelo family, Channing Stacks Lorenzo, Luca Crusifino, and Adriana Rizzo, squaring off against the group now known as The Culling. Not The Calling, The Culling. Culling. The Culling. Interesting name. The Culling, Brooks Jensen, Nico Vance, and Izzy Dame. The new North American champion Shawn Spears in their corner. And the winners of the match in 10 minutes and 27 seconds. No surprise here. It was The Culling. MF. The Culling. Putting NXT on notice. Defeating the D'Angelo family in the 6-person mixed tag in 10:27.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job with it. I don't think there's really much for me to say on this one. This was more or less you could say about a 2.5 to maybe 2.5 star match. Yeah, nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, there was some great intensity shown here by the D'Angelo family, but it was for naught as we saw another beatdown from those rogues. NXT's answer to the Shield / Retribution, potentially setting them up for a match with the D'Angelo family at or around Stand and Deliver. Where that leaves things between the D'Angelo family and the Culling remains to be seen. And that's that. So I'll give that about 3 to 3.25 stars. And then let me tell you something about Adriana Rizzo. She is a ball of fire. She was intense from the opening bell, and her tope suicida heading into the commercial put an exclamation point on the first half of the match. So that's really all there is to say there. And then after the match, that's the moment where we had Stephanie Vacour with Ava. And that's when Fallon Henley demanded her rematch for the Women's North American Championship. And Stephanie Vacour, never one to back down, agreed to defend against the woman she beat for that title, even after it was announced moments earlier that she will defend the NXT Women's Championship against Jada Parker on next week's show. And we'll address that in the future content. Speaking of women's action, we had Carmen Petrovic, accompanied by Ashante the Adonis, squaring off against JC Jane of Fatal Influence. She had Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix in her corner. Winner of the match, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. It was JC Jane. Nothing to really speak of here. This was about 1.5 to 2. This got everyone on TV and furthered the story of Ashante the Adonis being a negative influence on Carmen Petrovic, who continues to resist breaking the rules despite his insistence. That will likely pay off in one way or another sooner rather than later. But for now, this was an opportunity to give JC Jane a rare win while moving an ongoing storyline forward. So it was at least productive. And I mentioned that because Adonis slid Petrovic a steel chair and told her to hit JC Jane, but his love interest refused and paid for it. All right, now, it's no secret that I have a big thing for Carmen Petrovic, and but I'm gonna say something serious about her. Carmen Petrovic continues to improve as an in-ring performer, and the opportunity she has received to this point has only helped her with that process. So she could be a future star. She could be a future champion. Whenever they decide to strap her with a title. I don't know if it'll be this year, maybe next year, maybe further down. I don't know, but I do believe she will be championship material soon enough. So, we can just bypass this. If we were to put a rating on it, I say 1.5 to 2 would be the appropriate one. So, but we're going to get into this though. Ricky Saints squaring off against Ridge Holland. Ricky Saints wins the match in 12 minutes and 28 seconds. 3 1/4, 3.5. There is an argument to be made that Ricky Saints should have been more featured here rather than spending most of the match selling for Ridge Holland. But it positioned him as a tough, resilient babyface who can overcome an oppressive attack by his opponent and still come out on the winning side. The match was good, not great, but it highlighted Saints as he figures to be a key piece of NXT's immediate and long-term future. Ricky Saints' ability to adapt his entrance to fit the timing of his theme music is admirable. And where this loss leaves Ridge Holland, just months removed from being in the NXT title picture, will be interesting to keep an eye on in the coming weeks and months. So I'll give this about 3 1/4, 3.5. So MF, what says you?
Yeah, 3 1/4, no doubt. I think that's the best way to say it, and there's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right. Next week, next week on NXT, we got 3 championship matches, and 2 of them are going to feature Stephanie Vacour. Stephanie Vacour, remember, she's bookending the show. First match of the night, right out of the box. Stephanie Vacour will defend the NXT Women's Championship against Jada Parker. And in the main event, Stephanie Vacour will defend the NXT Women's North American Championship against Fallon Henley. And the other match that was announced tonight, Lexis King will defend the NXT Heritage Cup against Javon Evans. Interesting. Main event of the evening, NXT Underground Rules match. Eddie Thorpe squaring off against Trick Williams. Trick Williams wins the match via TKO in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. But then after all that was over, Trick Williams called out Obafemi. And then the Rogues came out. The Mysterious Group came out. Javon Evans. It was complete and utter chaos at the end of this. Wow. MF, could we be possibly looking at a triple threat for the NXT Championship? Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans here?
It's possible, no doubt. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting, to say the very least. I don't know. I think it's going to be a very interesting look more than anything else. And yeah, I think this is going to be this will be fun. I got really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Interesting how that match ended up. Short-lived main event. The rivalry between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe ended not with a bang, but a whimper, as their much-hyped underground match ended in short order, as Trick Williams pummeled Eddie Thorpe into a knockout and drawing a referee stoppage a la UFC or MMA. And then after the short-lived main event, Trick Williams called out Obafemi, making his intention to challenge for the NXT Championship. And then Dark State, the previously unnamed invaders, appeared, and Javon Evans hit the ring, shoved aside by Williams. He unloaded as all hell broke loose. The Shield-inspired group watched from the stands as Evans stood face-to-face with Williams to close out the show. Vic Joseph asking if anyone will take Evans lightly again. That question suggests Evans may find himself in the championship picture, which begs the question, would NXT really run 2 3-way matches that Stand and Deliver, assuming Stephanie Vacour versus Jordan Grace versus Jada Parker is the other? One would hope not, with the potential for oversaturation of the multi-person match being very when WrestleMania is factored into the equation. And what does Dark State have in store for Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Obafemi? Williams brought the intensity from the opening bell and never let up. Trick Williams said after the match, Eddie Thorpe, you better learn how to squabble. And Trick Williams said to Obafemi, when he called Obafemi out, he said, make sure you've got my title. Wow. Okay. 1.5 to 2 on that as well. So, all right. Overall, I'm leaning around 7.5. There was a lot to like about this show, including the amount of time and energy that continues to be paid to the women's division. That is the strongest part of the show and the best division on the NXT roster. So it makes sense to highlight it and its top stars, including Stephanie Vacour, who looked like a bona fide superstar here. Jada Parker was excellent as her push toward the title continued, and both Adriana Rizzo and Carmen Petrovic stood out in their in-ring opportunities. On the men's side of things, the mega push for Dark State is on, for better or worse, as they made several appearances on the show. How they intertwine with the NXT title picture and Trick Williams, Obafemi, and Javon Evans will be interesting to watch. Ricky Saints looked strong in victory, and his interaction with Shawn Spears backstage indicated a North American Championship match could be on the horizon, maybe at Stand and Deliver. And the main event was rushed, fell flat, and hurt Eddie Thorpe more than anything. That plus the potential for too many multi-person matches for Stand and Deliver were the negatives of the show, but not enough to adversely affect its overall rating in a significant way. So I'll give it about 7 to 7.5. MF, let's get your overall thoughts, and then we'll quickly dive into the TNA sacrifice from Friday night.
Yeah, I'll say about 7.5 to 8. I think they did a really good job with it as well. I think the show could have been a lot more better in certain areas, but I'm not mad at all with the way that it played out. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF, and now we're gonna get into the TNA Sacrifice special that went down this past Friday night from the El Paso County Coliseum in El Paso, Texas, exclusively on the TNA Plus app. And we had a pre-show match. It was First Class, AJ Francis and Casey Navarro squaring off against the Aztec Warriors, the Laredo Kid, and Octagon Jr. MF, do you know anything about this Octagon Jr. guy?
Octagon Jr. actually used to be from AAA. He actually was in Lucha Underground for a season, the very first season of Lucha Underground. So yeah, no, Octagon Jr. is a huge name in Mexico. So yeah, this was a big deal.
Yeah, so that was on the pre-show. The pre-show match was Laredo Kid and Octagon Jr. They squared off against AJ Francis and Casey Navarro.
Asked me for advice, and I just told her how I was feeling. Why are you
First
crying?
Class, and First Class wins the match in 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So we usually don't talk about pre-show matches. So let's now get into the main card. And we started off with the street fight. Mance Warner squaring off against Sami Callihan. Mance Warner wins the match in 10 minutes and 47 seconds. Interesting. Well, no, I'm not surprised about the outcome. I mean, I knew that Mance Warner was going to win this match. We knew it. We knew Mance Warner was going to win this match because he's. I think Sami is currently in that. I guess we could call it that utility veteran role. So it was all right. I'll give this about maybe 3 to 3.25 for the effort. I mean, at least they didn't have glass or thumbtacks. I mean, it was the run of the mill brawling with the table and trash cans, which makes the ending a bit weak. After everything they did, it was a simple bit of powder and a running knee. That's a weird way to go, but odds are this is going to keep going anyway. Slow. I'll give it about 3, maybe 3.25. So, MF, your thoughts? Mance Warner defeating Sami Callihan via street fight in 10:47.
Solid matchup, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, outcome never in doubt. We kind of expected it. So yeah, really nothing more to say. And Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF. Next up on the fight card, Tessa Blanchard squaring off against Lei Ying Lee. Tessa Blanchard wins the match, 11 minutes and 14 seconds. Again, we say, MF, no surprise about this outcome.
Yeah, no surprise about this outcome. This was fine for what it was worth. Could have been better in certain areas, but Tessa getting the win, that just brings her that much more closer to the title. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Not sure if there was much doubt about the winner here, as Tessa Blanchard is not only a bigger name, but she is also likely getting ready for a Knockouts title match against Masha Slamovich. The good thing is Lei Ying Lee got in a lot of offense and gave Tessa a run for her money, but this was the right decision. Blanchard is ready to get back into the bigger spots, and this was a step in that direction. This was another 3 to 3.25 star match. Then we had the 6-man tag team matchup. NXT's Wes Lee, Tyson DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe squaring off against the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz and Ace Austin. Rascals and Ace Austin win the match, 9 minutes and 54 seconds. Another 3.25 star or so match. The Lucha rules kind of hurt things here, as it was a little more than just having people running in and doing things. It did feel like the end of the feud, though, with Zachary Wentz getting his revenge on Wes Lee. It was a fun match, which tends to be the case with Ace Austin and the Rascals. I'll give it about 3 to 3.25. MF, what says you?
Agreed. 3.25. I thought this was definitely the end of the storyline. I thought they did a really good job with it. And yeah, I really got nothing more to say. So, Anthony, next match.
Frankie Kazarian squaring off against Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin winning the match, 8 minutes and 49 seconds. MF, what says you on this?
This was fine for what it was worth. This could be about a 2.5 star bout. I think it could have been better in certain areas, but it was fine for what it was worth. And Anthony, it's yours.
This was something that could have been on any given Impact show, as it was more about the Eric Young involvement than anything else. The ending should be a way to see if Steve Macklin wants to join him in what is likely the dark side, though that's only so interesting. It would also be nice to have Frankie Kazarian lose that stupid trophy title shot already, but we could still be months away. Who knows? So 2.5 stars for me on this one. Okay. We all remember WrestleMania 5, right? Remember WrestleMania 5 when we had that 3-on-2 handicap match for the WWF Tag Team Championship when Demolition defended the titles against the Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji? We all remember that? Well, in a way, we kind of had that here as well, but only it's a little different. Spitfire, Danny Luna, Jody Threat, defending the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship against Ash and Heather by Elegance and their partner, Per Santino Marella, the personal concierge, George Iceman. Oh boy. Something worked here, because the winners of the match in 9 minutes and 7 seconds and new TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Ash and Heather by Elegance. Ash and Heather win the titles. Wow. By Elegance had to win the titles at some point if they wanted to have any kind of a future. At the end of the day, Ash has been here for a bit, but hadn't won anything of note coming in. You could present her as a star all you want, but it doesn't matter without getting some kind of a prize. That is what she pulled off here, and it was fairly long overdue. The feud needs to end already, but it's not like there are many other teams to come after those titles. But then after the match was over, business picks up. The Meta Girls, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson. The lights go out, and there are Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. There's your next crossover title feud right there. I'll give this in excess of 2.5 to 3 for the effort. And not much more to say. MF, like I said, this had the feel of Demolition versus the Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji from WrestleMania 5. But unlike that match, the titles actually switch hands here. Ash and Heather by Elegance and the personal concierge, George Iceman. Ash and Heather finally get the titles in 9/12.
Absolutely, finally getting the titles. I couldn't be any more happier. You know how much I love Ash by Elegance, aka Dana Brooke. I've been a big fan of hers since day one, and now she finally does it. She finally gets her moment in the spotlight. It's been a long time coming, but it finally happens, and I really think there's going to be a very good way to talk about it more than anything else. So we're going to see how this plays out. But yeah, this was a hell of a way to win the title. I really got nothing more to say, Anthony. So yeah, let's just move on. 2.5 stars. Excuse me.
Yeah, no worries. Next up, one of the highly anticipated matches of this show, Mike Santana squaring off against Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali had his cabinet, the Good Hands, Jason Hotch, John Schuyler, along with Tasha Steelz. And the winner of the match in 13 minutes and 24 seconds, Mustafa Ali. Wow, MF, surprise outcome here.
Yeah, surprise outcome. I think we all thought that this was going to be Mike Santana's moment to try to continue that road for him to be after the title. And sure enough, it did not happen. Mustafa Ali gets a very nice win, to say the very least. So now we got to see how it plays out. I thought they did a very good job with it. Nothing more to say. So, Anthony, it's yours.
To this point, this was the fight here. 3.5 stars. This was the match I was looking forward to coming in, and they didn't disappoint. With both guys working hard and telling a story. Ali is the more polished wrestler of the two and better with the technical side of things, while Santana is more about powering through and hitting his big moves. That allowed Ali to pick him apart, but then when he couldn't handle Santana, he cheated in the end, which will allow him to brag about his amazing skill. Heck of a story told and a very good match at the same time. Next up, TNA Knockouts Championship on the line. The champion, Masha Slamovich, defending against NXT's Cora Jade. Winner of the match in 9 minutes and 27 seconds, and still the TNA Knockouts champion. It is Masha Slamovich. Solid 3. As was the case with Tessa Blanchard versus Lei Ying Lee, there was only so much drama to be had here. Masha Slamovich is the monster champion who can smash through just about anyone in front of her. Cora Jade has gotten better, but she is not on Masha's level, and that is not going to change anytime soon. Cora got in some stuff here, but Masha Slamovich was not in much danger at all. Solid 3 stars, another no surprise, and MF, I think we all know what the end game is when it comes to the Knockouts Championship. Masha Slamovich, Tessa Blanchard. I'm calling it the Rebellion pay-per-view, April 27th.
Agreed. And I really think that it's going to be that way. So, yeah, no doubt about it. Really nothing more to add. And, yeah, let's just move right on along, bro.
Do you have a rating for the match?
About 2 stars.
All right. Ladder match for the TNA X Division Championship. The champion Moose, accompanied by Alicia Edwards, defending against Jeff Hardy. Winner of the match in 16 minutes and 33 seconds, and still the TNA X Division champion. It is Moose. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, prior to the at that moment, I probably would have considered this the fight of the night. This was without a doubt an incredible matchup. This was about 3.5 stars for me. The body of work was amazing. All the action was hard hitting and everything else. Moose winning it, not a big surprise, but at the end of the day, I thought they did an incredible job with it. So nothing more to add. Anthony, it is yours.
Yeah, 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Commentary summed up the issues at the beginning of this match. Moose was in his first ever ladder match, while Jeff was in his 39th. Wow. That kind of takes away the impact, as Jeff has literally done this dozens of times. What we got was indeed good as they beat each other up, though. I never quite bought that Jeff was going to win. I get why they had the match, though, and it did feel interesting, at least most of the time. 3.5, 3 3/4 of a star. All right. Our main event, 10-man tag team steel cage match. Unofficially lethal lockdown, meaning 2 competitors started for 2 minutes. Then a member of the heel team would get the power play every 2 minutes. And here it is. It was the System. Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and Johnny Dango Curtis, along with Eddie and Orlando, the Colognes. They went up against TNA World Heavyweight Champion Joe Hendry, Matt Hardy, Elijah, Leon Slater, and Nick Nemeth. Joe Hendry, Matt Hardy, Elijah, Leon Slater, Nick Nemeth. They win the match in 17 minutes and 2 seconds. But then after the match was over, it was Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth turned heel. Nick Nemeth attacking, post-match, most of the team leaves, but Ryan Nemeth gets in and locks the door. That's enough for Nick Nemeth to jump Matt Hardy. The camera mostly misses it, and the beating is on. The rest of the team is held off with a chair, and Matt Hardy is busted open. The beating continues to end the show, and it looks like the Nemeth brothers are now going to be in line to be the next challengers for the Hardys and the TNA championship, TNA tag team titles. This didn't really work, as it felt like they were scrambling to get the match in as fast as they could. That only got them so far, as the short entrances completely destroyed the intrigue of the bout. Someone would get in, hit 1 or 2 things, and then someone else would come in to reset the whole deal. It didn't make for a good main event, as this needed way more time and probably 2 less people to really work. I can only give this about 2.5 to 3 stars for the effort. But the Nick Nemeth heel turn, long overdue, long expected. I thought it should have happened prior to the Genesis event. It would have made that match with Joe Hendry, when Joe Hendry won the title from him, a little more interesting. But it is what it is. But at least better late than never. So it was long overdue. We knew it was coming. So 2.5 to 3 for this steel cage main event. So MF, your thoughts? The babyface team winning 17 minutes and 2 seconds, and then Nick Nemeth turning heel after the match.
Yeah, no, this was a solid main event match. It gives you a little bit of the TNA version of War Games, even though they never really classified it as War Games, but that's exactly what the match was. But at the end of the day, I thought they did an all right job. There's really nothing more to add here. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF. Overall thoughts on TNA Sacrifice?
7 out of 10. I thought they did a really good job with the show. It could have been better in certain areas, but I really enjoyed this event. I think they did a fine job. TNA just continues to build. This partnership with WWE is really working. That's the key thing. The partnership has worked more than anything else. So really nothing more to say. And yeah, it's yours.
I'm going to give it in excess of 7 to 7.5. 7 to 7.5 out of 10. it was a back and forth show, as there were some good things on here that had me interested in what they were doing, but then they did some things that simply weren't very interesting. The top 2 matches were only so good, and the ending was more of an okay, I guess, than anything else. Things should get to pick up a bit with a fresh top heel, but they need something else for Joe Henry to do already, and he's just kind of floating around despite being the world heavyweight champion. So this was about a 7.5 out of 10 for me. So with that being said, that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. We'll be back with you again on Thursday night at 10:30 for a special NCAA tournament edition of TXN Sports World. We will run down all this. We'll recap the first 4 games. We'll run down all the scores from the first 4 games and the Thursday action. And who knows? And maybe we'll get some bonus commentary. You never know if it's warranted. And then Friday night, 11 p.m., immediately following SmackDown, we got the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, BraceFan 95. We got TNA Impact, the fallout from Sacrifice, Friday night SmackDown from Bologna, Italy, and we'll also get into the Friday NCAA tournament coverage as well. We'll get into some scores from Friday, maybe some bonus commentary there. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. I don't know. That'll be on Friday. And then next week, next Tuesday, we do it all again, Ridiculously Raw, as we will review Monday Night Raw from Glasgow, Scotland, and we will have NXT as well. So that's it. So until Thursday night for our NCAA tournament edition of TXN Sports World, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the Phenom Michael Bullock, and of course, always and forever in spirit, our first lady of Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days, and until Thursday night, for TXN Sports World, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.